On today's episode, we're going to take a look at a pedal company that started not too long ago, and I think it deserves a little more attention. So let's roll right into it and look at Pogo Pedals. Scotty Smith is a legend in the boutique pedal industry. He has been making quality effects pedals for around 3 decades, and his whole story starts in the late 1980s when he got bit by the vintage pedal bug. In 1991, he attended a trade show in Indiana. It was full of all these vintage effects, and he really starts collecting. He starts importing things over from Europe. He builds this website, and it's really wild. And with any collector of this caliber, you end up buying a lot of pedals, and you're okay if they don't work, but there's a problem there. You have to learn how to fix things. So he learns how to fix the broken, vintage, amazing pedals he's collecting. That turns into modding. And then in 1998, it just fully evolved into his own designs and a company called Pro Analog Devices. Around 2017, a guy named Ryan Steinberg comes on to help Scotty at Pro Analog, and he does kind of the front-facing things like media, marketing, etc., and he's really good at it. And at the same time, he's been getting into DIY pedal designs, and he has a real passion for how they look. And there's some things on the screen here that he designed in this era. They're just really fun and goofy, and I'm a big fan of this kind of thing. So he does this, and they develop a really strong friendship. But in 2020, Pro Analog closes for various reasons, and that same year, June 3rd of 2020, they decide, let's wipe the slate clean, start over. Scotty says, I'm going to get in the background and do what I'm good at, which is the circuits and the sound, and Ryan, you just take the front. And this is the start of Pogo Pedals. It is a collaborative co-launch between Scotty Smith, Ryan Steinberg, and Whitney Robinson.
We don't have one of these overly flowery stories. We're focused on the quality of the pedals being versatile and then very affordable. And then they capture a boutique sound in a small package, or a very versatile sounds. They can be used, and it sounds good on just about everything.
So let's play these Pogo pedals. I'm going to walk you through the circuits, what I think about them. And I think it's worth saying they launched a pedal company right in the pandemic. And that's like 10 bonus points. So keep that in mind. Huge respect. I've shown some of these pedals over the years on the show, but for the sake of this really cool launch of a new company, let's show you a few of the old things that he did that are very well respected. This is a very hard to find pedal. It says 2 of 6, I think. There's supposedly just a few of these left on Earth. I don't know the whole story, but it's a Boost Royale. It's a really cool 2-transistor fuzz with like a wild kind of paint scheme going on, really collectible. Then you see things like the dual drive. You'll see a lot more of these in the wild, but they're still really valuable and rare. And then some of the later things, you have the Mark IV, which is a really cool circuit. He even modified things like the Soul Food, which is a Klon-based circuit. I don't know how many of these there are, but it's a really great sounding pedal. The Manticore is like his Klon killer of sorts, I guess you could say. Then we get into my 2 favorites, the Power Driver V2, and the Ascension is one of my all-time favorite octave fuzzes ever. And then really the only wah pedal I use, because I don't use wah a lot, but when I do, I always pull out the Super Quack. I think it's because I like that it's called Super Quack. Like, it's just a good, funny name, and that's okay. And it sounds really great. So good and funny and good sound, they just get my vote and I end up using it. So let's talk about Pogo. To talk about these pedals, I'm gonna start with explaining the main heart of the company at this point and the main series, and it's called the Harmony series. These are all $149 pedals, and they're in a small format enclosure like this. We're gonna go through these first, and then there's one other that's not part of that series. I'll play it later. I'll show you which one it is and it'll make sense. But the first one is the Modern Fuzz. And this is Scotty's take on the FZ1S. This is a Tom Oberheim design that was done for Maestro. It released in '72, and it's a really interesting fuzz. And we also have in this circuit a clean blend and 2 voicings. So we're gonna do a jam on this. I'm gonna use a Cusack delay just for some ambience. And we're gonna do a jam. We're gonna try to be creative. Here we go. Create. Next up, we have the Analog Phaser Vibe. Now, vibe is not univibe, it means vibrato, so it's the removal of clean signal and just true pitch modulation. Now, the flip side of that is this pedal does a really cool univibe sound when it's in the phase mode. So univibes are phasers that are also kind of choruses, but they're modulators. It's confusing, but you can do some things with this like traditional phasing sounds, like a phase 90, phase 100, but I really like this kind of harder throb on the waveform, which feels like a univibe. So I'm going to do that setting, and then I'm going to use the one pedal that's not in the Harmony series. It is the Zen Ray, and this kind of plays along with the theme. If you look at these pedals, we have like kind of the Zen theme here, you know, the balancing of stones. You have the Pogo Pedals logo with the, what's it called? The yin yang. So we have this guy, the Zen Ray. Now this is a take on the Jan Ray. Vemurum? Addison, help me.
You're close, you got it.
Vemurum, right?
Yep, nailed it.
Vemurum Jan Ray. I've never been able to say it right. And ironically, it's supposedly a take on the Timmy. So there's this weird evolution here. Timmy to this. This is insanely expensive. I don't understand why. You can buy a Timmy for like $100+ from Paul, and they're amazing. And then this is a take on the Vemurum, but with 3 major changes. There's a germanium mode where germanium transistors are introduced for clipping. You also have a mids saturation control. So I'm gonna do something univibey, like if a dentist was really into Robin Trower and he went home and wrote a song for his wife, and then I'm going to turn this on, and it's going to be kind of a dark and spooky, very passionate Dumble-esque, dark yet clean, biting, distorted tone.
That's a lot of things.
Well, that's what it is. The vintage tremolo. This is a really cool circuit. Level, depth, and rate. So tremolo needs to stay tremolo. I've seen some fancy tremolos. I've seen tremolos with 150 knobs, dip switches. I've seen tremolos with extra foot pedals. I've seen them with MIDI. Sometimes you just need a tremolo. This is where I stand as a grown man adult. I just sometimes want a tremolo, and this really delivers on me just wanting a tremolo. That's my pitch for this pedal. You can have that for free. It has a slow and a fast mode. I'll demonstrate that. And we're gonna play a simple song, something very simple. I'm gonna turn on this Boost Royale that's apparently rarer than 5 hen's teeth. That'll be on the whole time. And this is based on a very cool pedal. There's a German company, it's a vintage thing, Schaller. They had a very famous fuzz face take. These are in these metal enclosures. They also had a tremolo called the Schaller Tremolo. I don't have the Schaller one. I have the Kent one, which they made for Kent. It's the same thing. It just says Kent. So if you have the Schaller version of the tremolo, I'd be up for taking that off your hands. So he took this, modified it. It's a very classic and amazing tremolo circuit. That's what that's based on. All that aside, it's time to play it for you. So now I will create riff for you. Next is possibly the most unique pedal in this series from the standpoint of instantly plugging into it and being like, whoa, this isn't familiar because the controls are so different. It is the Compressor plus Boost. Now, at first glance, you're thinking, oh, it's a compressor pedal, and any compressor, you can turn it up and it'll be a boost. But this one has no volume knob traditionally placed. There's no master volume. So what you have here is like a huge chungus amount of headroom gain, and you have a compression ratio, and then you can parallel blend in clean. Now, the way my amp is set up, if I don't roll my guitar volume back, it physically destroys it in the most beautiful way. Like, it becomes like a boosting into the valve amplifier overdrive distortion. That's cool, but I want to play jangly faux country, even though I don't know how to play it. So what do? I roll back the volume control on my guitar, and it's this really beautiful, clean, high-passed compression sound. So in the weirdness, to me, of it's like destroying my amp and I can't turn it down, I discover this amazing sound. All I'm saying is this is not your mom and dad's compressor they had back in the 70s. This is not it. This is something very unique. The design is really cool. The circuit's cool. It's based around an old Ampeg amplifier compression. It's based around an old solid state Ampeg compressor design. It's super cool. So I'm gonna do that thing where I roll off the volume, and I think it's a really subtle, nuanced, nice kind of mastering compression sound. And I can't pretend to play country without some slapback, so I'll put this back on. Now we jam. Bet you didn't know we could play country like that. We're pretty good, Nick.
We are.
I think we're gonna go honky tonkin' later.
Yeah.
Like, go on like the circuit. Go to Nashville.
All right.
You'll see us down on Broadway,
Yeehaw!
shredding those tasty compressed licks.
Woo!
Let's go to the next pedal. Next up is the Octavia, and it's probably my favorite of the line, just like his Octave Ascension was my favorite pro analog pedal. These are not the same. They're related in the fact that they are octave pedals, but they're different designs. And it's also to be noted here, it's called Octavia because that's a great name, but it is not in any way the Roger Mayer circuit either. And that's not related to this version as well. So the deal with this is, again, he has a unique approach to creating the octave up effect. We would call it octave fuzz. I've done an episode on this. What is octave fuzz? You can check that out. It's a very distinct thing where the fuzz pedal itself, in correlation with some extra circuitry, actually folds over the waveform on top of itself, creating an octave up of the pitch you're playing. So it's this weird, crazy time travel-esque audio bizarre situation. It's really beautiful. But this is basically his approach at looking at all the classic fuzzes over 50 years that do the octave fuzz thing. So you look at stuff like a Scrambler by Ampeg, the Fox Tone Machine, the Univox Super Fuzz, and the Mayer Octavias, but this is his unique take on that. And it's also worth noting the octave gain and a clean control, even at full fuzz, full gain, it's not really a fuzz pedal, but it is a fuzz pedal. It's very unique. You should definitely check this out. If you want to get one of these and you're like, I don't know which one to get, buy this, because I absolutely love it. And the form factor makes it really great, because sometimes You don't want to commit to an octave fuzz on the board, but you can commit to this. It's so small. Look how small. So let's jam. Let's get away from country and let's do like if Rage Against the Machine did a concert in 2038 and Cake joined them on stage and Beck sang and St. Vincent played guitar and Jimi Hendrix was still alive and he's on bass.
Whoa.
And Pete Townsend's on drums.
Dang.
He doesn't even play drums. Let's do it. Check these out. They're at reverb.com or Pogo's website. We'll put a link in the description below. And this is another great example of companies don't make things, people do. Scotty, Ryan, and Whitney have made a really great company here. So go support them. Check out these pedals. Let's do a record time. Today's record time is brought to you by 2021 17 Going Under by Sam Fender. I've been a huge fan of his since his first EP. I think it was like 2018, 2019, I can't remember, but really wonderful songwriter, musician, and guitarist. This record is phenomenal. My favorite tracks are 17 Going Under and Spit of You. I would just say the guitar layering, the musicality, the songwriting. I love his voice. I love his melodies and what he chooses to do in his songwriting. And he has a real knack for doing things that kind of get exhausted by other people. Like you don't want to hear these certain things in songs, like certain beats, rhythms, even guitar parts. And then when he does them, they're suddenly magical and refreshing. It's a very cool thing. So check this out. If you're not familiar with him, please listen to this. Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you've heard of his other work, also talk about that as well. Thanks so much for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell icon to get notifications of future episodes. In the comments below, let me know your favorite Pogo pedal. Let me know if you recently picked one up or if you're thinking about it. And there is a link in the description where you can jam with us on every single jam over at BandLab. That's it for today. Go to Pogo's website. Also go peruse around reverb.com and yeah, pick one up. Support them. They're doing really great things. Have a great day. Bye. Like for real. It's over. We're out of here. We're gonna like hit stop.
You want me to stop it?
Stop the camera.
Right now?
Let's do it.
Stopping.
I'm out.
Still haven't stopped yet.
Stop.